We are live here on a Tuesday, a Titans Tuesday here on A to Z Sports. I got Jack Gentry with me. We're going to talk about Mike Vrabel and some of the things that was said yesterday on Titans radio. And we will touch on the passing of Mike Leach because that just came in. So our condolences. And this is, Mike Leach has impacted college football in a major way. I feel like on and off the field. And so we'll talk a little bit more about Mike Leach. But today's show on a Titans Tuesday, we've got coaching changes. Or do we? No, we don't. And Mike Vrabel spoke on that yesterday on his radio show as they played that on 104.5 The Zone. Mike Keith interviewed him, and we've got that audio that we'll play you, and was asked about coaching changes or potential more coaching changes to improve the football team this year. We'll get Mike Vrabel's response. And we will ask you guys a question. I will go back and forth and hear what Jack has to say about the firing of John Robinson and now Mike Vrabel's comments. So a lot to get to. And on top of that, you look at what the Tennessee Titans are right now, then we'll dive into what changes can actually be made. If one change is not going to happen, we already know John Robinson is gone. But if one change can't happen, what can this team do to improve? And then we've got sports trivia. So, Jack, I hope you're knowledgeable on a couple of different subjects. Ping pong? Are you knowledgeable about ping pong?
I can play ping pong. I don't know much about the history of the game, though.
Okay, well, we're going to test that knowledge. And art. So we'll figure out if you're an art connoisseur. So we got a big show. More people are going to be piling in. Jack, go ahead and tell the fine folks what they need to do.
Awesome to be back on the morning show. I see you guys are trickling in already. For those who are a little late to the party, let's go ahead and get that link out to them. We want as many people in here as we possibly can. So if you're on Facebook, share the show to your Titans groups. I know you guys are a part of them. I see you guys chatting in there just about every single day, all hours of every single day. If you're watching on Twitter, retweet the show. If you're watching on Twitch or YouTube, text that link to your Titans groups. You guys talk about the Titans all day. I'm sure you guys were talking about them yesterday, probably in a negative light, but that's okay. We're going to talk about them today together. We're going to figure out what the Titans need to do to save the season. So make sure you share that link to your friends on Facebook. Text it to your friends who are getting ready for work or who need to kill the first hour of their workday hanging out talking sports. So, but let's get everybody in. Zach always says it. Sharing is caring.
That's right. Sharing is caring. Let's officially get this party started. Welcome into A to Z Sports. I am Zach Bingham. He is Jack Gentry from the Tighten Up Podcast. We are A to Z Sports this morning. We got to thank our title sponsor, BetMGM. Use that promo code ATOZ Sports. Get a risk-free bet up to $1,000. So I got to also thank the sponsors that make this thing work, which is our presenting sponsors, including Hughes & Coleman, the official injury lawyer of the Tennessee Titans. So that's Hughes & Coleman right here in Middle Tennessee. The Bone and Joint Institute, don't fumble on your recovery. State-of-the-art facility down there in Franklin. Farnborough Health Plans, fbhp.com/A to Z. Farnborough Health Plans, switch your health plan today. And Wilson County Hyundai, your perfect make and model is right around the corner. A quick trip down I-40 exit 236. Payne Bone and his team will hook you up with a great Hyundai. So Jack, let's officially start this show. And, unfortunately, right before we popped on, heard some terrible news. And that is the passing of Mississippi State head football coach Mike Leach, the age of 61. He was in critical condition over the last 24 hours as he apparently had a medical basically alert at his house, was in a Mississippi hospital for the last 24 to 48 hours, and has just passed away. I'd heard a lot of things, from my friends in Mississippi. And, look, I talk a lot of bad things about Mississippi State because I went to Ole Miss. But this is one thing that, I think we all can agree on, is that Mike Leach bettered the game of college football. And it's truly sad to hear of his passing. He was he was such a ambassador of the game. He's such a funny guy. He had so much comedic humor in the way that he went about things. And he honestly, he helped revolutionize what college football was in the spread offense at Texas Tech. That epic game with Michael Crabtree in Texas Tech versus Texas, back in the day. Jack, first to kind of start out, our condolences go out to all of Mike Leach and his family, and the Mississippi State faithful, because this is something that is bigger than sports, as Mike Leach passes away at the age of 61.
Yeah, this news flat out sucks, and I think everybody's kind of been preparing for it the last couple of days with the reports that have been coming out of Starkville and everything. But Mike Leach, I mean, he was a true gem in college football. He's 61 years old, like you mentioned, but he was always adapting. His open-mindedness, his honesty, and really his humor, I think, kept college football fans wrapped around his finger for as long as he was in the game. I mean, for him to be that old and still he's like a chameleon, able to blend in with whatever culture he was bouncing to and whatever the game was evolving into, while also being just true to himself. I'm going to miss Mike Leach. He's one of my favorite coaches, even though he did coach at Mississippi State for these last couple of years. I also went to Ole Miss. But Mike Leach, I mean, that's terrible news. It's some of the worst news you could wake up to. And, yeah, just thinking about everybody in Starkville and thinking about the Leach family. This is tough for college football.
You've got a heart when two Ole Miss guys are speaking this, favorably about Mississippi State. And this is bigger than any sport. My biggest and greatest memory, Austin and I actually interviewed Mike Leach. You remember he had that year before he went to Washington State. He actually lived down in Key West, Florida. And he used to tell us stories about he'd ride his bike to the grocery store and put grocery bags on the handles. And I've always visioned Mike Leach riding down Duval, if you've ever been down to Key West, which is one of my favorite places to go. I've been there the last couple of years. That was a great interview, and it's something that I'll always remember. And I'm sure, speaking for Austin, he'd say the same thing. It was a very cool experience to be able to interview Mike Leach, and unfortunate set of circumstances that have just kind of, built up over the last 24 to 48 hours. Mike Leach officially passes away at age 61. So wanted to start the show with that, because that news is bigger than what we're going to talk about. But as we shift to Titans talk, as A to Z Sports rolls on into our first segment, Jack, I haven't gotten an opportunity to talk to you. A lot has happened over the course of the last 10 to 12 days in Titans land, right? You get blown out by A.J. Brown and company in Philadelphia. You fire your general manager. Then there's all this speculation of what's going to happen. Well, you're at a crossroads. What's your crossroads? And then you host the Jacksonville Jaguars, a division rival who really have the only fighter's chance to punch you out of the playoffs. You win. You completely take a stranglehold on the division. You pretty much coast your way to another division title for the third straight year. Well, that doesn't happen. The Jags put it on you. They win by multiple scores. They put up 30-plus points. You have Evan Ingram that has over 160 yards receiving. Trevor Lawrence has over 350 yards passing. And the Titans are in a completely different state of affairs. Jack, what was your reaction of John Robinson's firing and all of the things that happened afterwards to this point here on Tuesday?
Well, I think like everybody, I was kind of shocked at the timing, right? It was right after A.J. Brown, ran all over. I guess ran all over the Titans. That move was curious because you would have thought Todd Downing would be the first to go. You would have thought Miss Amy would have handed out his pink slip before Robinson's, even though Robinson didn't do anything on the deadline. He sat on his hands. He had a horrible draft trading away A.J. Brown. And really these top draft picks that he's had over the last 3 years have failed to produce at really any level. Caleb Farley, Isaiah Wilson, Dylan Radins, all those guys come to mind. That was surprising, but firing your GM at this point in the season, after the trade deadline, after your free agent moves, in the off season, and really the cupboard is pretty bare when it comes to guys that are still available at this point in the season. But you can live without a GM. I don't think that John Robinson's firing should have negatively affected the Titans on the field. Like his job is pretty much.
Do you think it did?
No, I don't. I think the Titans just flat out got beat. I mean, they looked great for the first quarter of that game. You can't turn the ball over against the Jaguars, and they did that a handful of times. It was sloppy football. They were moving the ball in the first half, and then Todd Downing second half. That's shown up all season long. it's an offense that hasn't been able to find its groove after that first drive. They're outscoring opponents in the first quarter, but after that, it all goes to hell. I mean, it's the same old with the Titans, and it's come to a point where you wonder if a change should have made earlier. And I know they had that bye week in week 6, which I'm going to talk about here in a little bit, but there's no time like the present. And unfortunately, it seems like Mike Vrabel is, we'll just play the clip here soon.
Well, and that's the clip you're alluding to is what we're going to play here right now as more people roll in. Don't forget to share the show and like this video and subscribe to our YouTube page, as we want more people in here to have this conversation. So on the Mike Vrabel show on 104.5 The Zone, every Titans head coach has done this since they've been in Nashville. And Mike Vrabel talks to Mike Keith, and Mike Keith actually takes user questions. And so this particular Titans fan question was posed to Mike Vrabel. This is Mike Vrabel's response to said question.
Another Twitter question. You said in a recent press conference that you're open to the idea of things that need to be made in terms to improve the team. So where are you currently in the idea of organization changes, coaching changes?
We're not going to make any coaching changes during the season. Those are things that I evaluate at the end of the season. I see what's being taught. I have the luxury of going into each and every room. I hear what's being coached. I hear the details. I hear the design of each and every play. So that's not something that I'm going to be doing right now. But again, we'll evaluate everything at the end of the season, and go from there.
That's Mike Vrabel on 104.5 The Zone and Titans Radio last night. Wow. You have Mike Vrabel saying some pretty strong words. Now, change has already occurred. Amy Adams-Strunk, she changed, right? She made John Robinson go away earlier last week. And now I thought it was a solid question by the user to, and honestly, I give kudos to Mike Keith for, he works for the team. He's a team guy. He's been, play-by-play announcer since the inception. He didn't have to ask that question, but he did. And I'm glad that he did. And Vrabel answered it the way that he did. Now, here's the difference. We'll play the clip one more time because our audience is growing, which is usually what happens as we get into these type of topics. Jack, I'm going to show you two pictures from Sunday's game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think this is a good representation of what the Titans fan base wants Mike Vrabel to change. There's the first picture.
Oh my God.
There's the second picture.
Oh.
These are Titans fans going out of their way to find, this is USA Today. I mean, these are professional photographers that are being essentially flagged down. One of them, he's looking directly into the camera. Fire Todd Downing. Todd Downing is the offensive coordinator from the Tennessee Titans. But Mike Vrabel just told us that he is not going to make any changes. What's your reaction to this, of the strong statement that Mike Vrabel said on Titans Radio? I mean, this isn't one of those things. I have in my mind what he could have said and maybe what he should have said, but he didn't say any of that. He said exactly what he said, which was, look, we're not going to make any changes to the coaching staff right now. How does that make you feel?
He's dying on this hill. And I mean, that's really all you can say. He's dying on the hill. He's not making any changes. It's Mike Vrabel being stubborn. And it's not always a bad thing when Vrabel is stubborn and stick to his own ways and trusts his guns, because, he's had so much success in Tennessee. He's seen a couple offensive coordinators get head coaching jobs. So, it's right for him to trust his decision. However, that decision has proven to be a bad one. Todd Downing has cost this team many games. He has thrown off the rhythm of this offense. The Titans offense, 29th in total offense, 29th in passing offense. They lead the league in 3 and outs. In the last 5 games, Derrick Henry has hit the century mark, that 100 yards, just one time. Derrick Henry can't get anything going. The most glaring stat of all, which they showed in Sunday's broadcast, Derrick Henry hasn't scored a fourth quarter touchdown in 14 games now. The offense is broken. You're worried about setting it back by changing play callers, by maybe going to Tim Kelly, going to somebody else in that coaching staff, that offensive coaching staff. The offense is already set back. It's at the back of the league. It can't get much worse than 29th in the NFL. I mean, you gotta make a change before it's too late. They didn't do that, and it's really cost him. Vrabel's stubbornness, and it has cost him. He's loyal, but this time he's loyal to a fault.
Well, let's listen to this one more time, and then we're going to ask a question and get the chat involved. Here's Mike Vrabel on Titans Radio. Mike Keith asking a Titan fan question to the Titans head coach.
Another Twitter question. You said in a recent press conference that you're open to the idea of things that need to be made in terms to improve the team. So where are you currently in the idea of organization changes, coaching changes?
We're not going to make any coaching changes during the season. Those are things that I evaluate at the end of the season. I see what's being taught. I have the luxury of going into each and every room. I hear what's being coached. I hear the details. I hear the design of each and every play. So that's not something that I'm going to be doing right now. But again, we'll evaluate everything at the end of the season, and go from there.
What's one word to describe Mike Vrabel's comments, in-season coaching changes, or maybe lack thereof? One word in the comment section. All right. So get to the comments and pick your one word. That's one word that describes Mike Vrabel's comments, in-season coaching changes. But first, I'm going to talk about, you may have some changes if you get into a car accident and you need somewhere to go. You need an injury lawyer. Well, that's Hughes and Coleman. They are trusted by the Tennessee Titans, the official injury lawyer of the Tennessee Titans. When you're injured in a car wreck and you need a team that will fight for you, just like the Titans sometimes fight on Sunday, well, call Hughes and Coleman. It is very, very simple. It's 800-800-4600. That there is their number, and you can call them. Look, accidents happen. I've gotten into car accidents that have been my fault, in my younger years, and have not been my fault. It just happens. But if you get injured in one of those, free case consultation from Hughes and Coleman, the official injury lawyers of the Tennessee Titans. Call 800-800-4600.
Another way to make some cash. Not that that's really a way to make some cash. But anyways, this is a bad segue. BetMGM. Use promo code A2Z Sports. That's ATOZ Sports for a risk-free bet up to $1,000 on pro football. You got a sports book and you don't like it? It's too tough. It's hard to navigate. BetMGM lays it out as simple as possible. You're going to love it. New users, make sure you download that code ATOZ Sports for a risk-free bet up to $1,000 on pro football. The Titans are 3-point dogs this week. They love that underdog role. Can they finally snap this 3-game losing streak? Well, if you're worried about it, don't worry about losing the bet because it's all risk-free. Promo code ATOZ Sports on BetMGM.
All right. The question that we asked was, what is one word? We go back to our one word. And the reason why we do this is one of my favorite questions and favorite ways to do this is you sit here and there's so many different words that you can go with, right? I mean, there's just a plethora. And we've got these. I'm going to read these comments and see what the chat is saying. And there's some cuss words, so I'll try to go over those. Crazy from Sting to Poison. Incoherent from Will, Tennessee. SMH from Titans. Denial from Carlton. Bullheaded from Mark. Common from Tighten Up. Stubborn. We got our first stubborn there from Brent. Malachi says loser. Gambler from Steven. Stupid from Shannon. Typical from Eric. Stubborn, another one from Randy. As they keep rolling in. Cancer coming in from Crazy. Wow. There from Asil 1. Contradiction from John. Consistent from Hot Doobie. Consistent. So saying that Mike Vrabel is consistent in his message. Stuck from Kevin. mediocrity from Sean, informed from Sky. You got trash, skeptical, pitiful, insanity, absurd from Franco, pig-headed from Noah, stubborn, another one. Lee asks, is BS one word? We'll make it count for this, Lee. We'll just toss a hyphen in there and get the real world. Brian says, meh. Relationship from Kendrick, probably valuing too much of the relationship between Downing and Mike Vrabel. Ultimatum from Jamie. Irresponsible from Isaac. I like this word. Andrew, look, I want to get you the love of the show because I think this is the most eccentric from egocentric. Like, Andrew brings up the ego of Mike Vrabel, which, look, every head coach has an ego. So we're not sitting here and being like, wow, I can't believe Mike Vrabel has an ego. Every head coach in the NFL, that kind of gets you to leadership positions, is your ego. I like that word by Andrew. Jack, what is one word to describe what Mike Vrabel said to Mike Keith on Titans Radio on 104.5 The Zone when asked about potential coaching changes, and Vrabel essentially said, not going to happen this year?
Surrender. I think Mike Vrabel is surrendering the season. By sticking with a guy that you know is not working. This offense has showed no signs of progress, and I understand that injuries have impacted the offensive line and the skill groups, not that they had much talent there anyways, but to commit to Todd Downing throughout the season after all of his mistakes on and off the field is, it's surrendering. You're waving the white flag. You're saying, you know what, we'll fix it next year. Well, problem is next year might be too late. Derrick Henry's not getting any younger. Ryan Tannehill, he's gotten banged up this season, and you'd probably like to figure out the future past Tannehill sooner rather than later. It's just surrendering. I mean, the Titans had a Super Bowl window, and John Robinson is partly to blame for the Titans not getting where they need to be. But sticking with Todd Downing, not just after last season, but up to this point in the season this year. That's why the Week 6 bye week killed the Titans this year. Not only did they get banged up after the bye week, they don't have a week off late in the season to get some of these guys back, get these reinforcements. But when you have that week off late in the season, you know who you are, you know what you can do and what you can't do. That would be the perfect opportunity to switch play callers, to install a new system during that week off where everybody gets in, watches film, gets acquainted with everybody. And you really don't have to go too far off the branch. It's just Mike Vrabel, by committing to Todd Downing, being stubborn, dying on this hill, he's simply surrendering. Say, we'll fix it next year. It's not good enough.
Yeah, I think that's a good word. I think we've had a lot of good words. I also saw malarkey in the comment section because of, the stubbornness. Malarkey got fired for refusing to change his coaching staff as that report came out when he was canned. Mine is a little bit of delusional. I feel like he doesn't Mike Vrabel. If you do not want to fire Todd Downing, you don't have to fire Todd Downing. That is your right as the head coach. But Jack, Mike Vrabel dodged so many great questions that bullets were flying in the press conference. He had to go up there and answer all of those questions for John Robinson's firing, not Amy Adams Strunk. And we sat there and we said that was foul on this show. But he went up there and did it. And we all actually kind of praised him. He did a pretty damn good job. These are some hard questions. He had some slip-ups, right, of saying, hey, I may have not said that, when he actually did say some things. But the bullets were flying, and I felt like he came out of there injured but not dead, right? I mean, that's how I felt about that press conference. So he's good at answering questions. I'm going to play this one more time. This is how he answered this question. And then I am going to tell you how he should have answered the question. He had so many great opportunities, and he chose this one.
Another Twitter question. You said in a recent press conference that you're open to the idea of things that need to be made in terms to improve the team. So where are you currently in the idea of organization changes, coaching changes?
We're not going to make any coaching changes during the season. those are things that I evaluate at the end of the season. I see what's being taught. I have the luxury of going into each and every room. I hear what's being coached. I hear the details. I hear the design of each and every play. So that's not something that I'm going to be doing right now. But again, we'll evaluate everything at the end of the season, and go from there.
Wrong. You're hearing Coach, but you're obviously not watching. And you are watching because you're at the game, you're the head football coach. But it's not about what you hear. It's about what you see. And what you see on the field is a dreadful offense and a team that is at a crossroads, as he stated, and they've gone the wrong direction. Mike Vrabel should have simply answered the question just like this. Mike, we've got to coach better. We got to play better. We are looking at every single thing as we maneuver through this season, but our guys need to play better. You know what we need to do, Mike? Instead of looking at the coaching staff and the players, we got to stop turning the football over. We got to stop doing stupid stuff to hurt the team. That should be our focus. Look, we evaluate this team each and every week. We did that from week 1 to week 4 to week 6 to the week that we're heading into. So we constantly evaluate what we're doing. We wouldn't be doing our job if we weren't evaluating each and every facet of this team. But we've got to do a lot of things better.
I like it. It's the guy coach better, got to play better. You figured he would have fit that in at some point. He doesn't.
You use his catchwords. You use his favorite terms. You don't answer the question, and you also put everything on the table, right? So now what he's done is, Jack, he can't fire Todd Downing. This man went to bat for Todd Downing after his DUI. To not suspend him, to not have anything change, nothing skipped a beat after the DUI. Todd Downing received a DUI by our legal department in the state of Tennessee, okay? But nothing happened. That was his opportunity, but he didn't do that. Instead, he's doubled down and now tripled down. Doubling down on Todd Downing is just to have him coach and not, he didn't even say that, anything happened to Todd Downing after the DUI, right?
Yeah, but I don't know that there's much of a precedent for suspending coaches for DUIs. I don't remember the last time a coach got suspended for getting a DUI.
But that was his out.
No, you're right. That was the perfect time.
It was an irresponsible move.
Get rid of him. You're right.
Based on anything, right? Whether the legal system plays out or whatever. Look, I also think that there's a caveat of legal ramification. And let me just hear me out on this. Todd Downing could, if he was suspended or fired for cause, the Titans don't have to pay him because of the DUI, but also, where was he drinking? Presumably, he was drinking on the team plane. So Todd Downing could sue the Titans and you get into a much bigger legal matter. So maybe Mike Vrabel was pushed into a corner. He wasn't pushed into the corner last night. He didn't have a gun to his head saying, you got to answer this question openly and honestly of what you truly think and say you're not going to make a coaching change. He could have dodged the question like coaches do, but he didn't. I think that's my issue is Mike Vrabel literally said, we're not changing. Yeah. We're not changing. Anytime somebody says we're not changing, that's a red flag to me because you cannot change is the evolution of life, right? Whether you're coaching, whether it's in your job. Jack, you weren't doing shows with us 4 years ago when we started the company, right? You have to change. You have to evolve. You have to give guys opportunity. You've got to figure out where you are good and where you are not good. You have to analyze. And look, Jack, it's easy to analyze this Titans offense, which is led by the play calling of Todd Downing. It's atrocious.
Yeah. And look, I think Joseph brings up a good point. Titans haven't won since Downing got that DUI after the Green Bay game. 3-game losing streak. It's something to consider. I I don't understand really why this has gone on so long. It was something that could have been fixed early in the season. And I mean, after the September that the Titans had, you'd have figured that bye week was the perfect opportunity to cut bait. But the Titans got a little hot. They figured out a way to win a couple games, and Downing was essentially saved for the time being. And making it past that week 6 mark was probably the last chance the Titans really had to make that change. It's too late in the season to do it now, apparently, even though it can't get any worse. I'll read those stats one more time. 29th in total offense, 29th in passing offense. They lead the league in 3 and outs. How many times have the Titans gone 3 and out? I mean, it's infuriating. Sure, you got Ryan Stonehouse with a golden leg, but it doesn't help when 60 yards only gets to the opponent's 30-yard line. I mean, it's frustrating. Derrick Henry hasn't really gotten going of late. Mike Vrabel is dying on this hill, and unfortunately, it's going to cost the Titans a season, and it's probably going to cost the Titans this Super Bowl window, which if it didn't close last year, it certainly will after this season, when a lot of changes are going to be made in terms of some of the cornerstones of the franchise, like Taylor Lewan. Who knows what happens with Tannehill? Derrick Henry's getting older. It's all murky from here on out. And unfortunately, by sticking to his guns and not being open-minded, like we talked about on at the top of the show, we talked about how Mike Leach was so great in college football because of how open-minded he was. Vrabel isn't that. And you look around the league, you've got Nick Sirianni, Sean McVay, Andy Reid, all open to evolve. And Vrabel, for whatever reason, and I know it's kind of like the Bill Belichick way, who has gotten away with not really evolving over the past 2 decades. But, I mean,
you don't need to when you have Tom Brady a lot.
The exception to the rule, right?
Yeah, I said this yesterday, Jack. My analogy was the Titans need to do what Nick Saban in Alabama did when Lane Kiffin became offensive coordinator. Instead of going, you have to reinvent your offense, your franchise, your program, your football philosophy. The Crimson Tide did that, and they won multiple national championships because of it afterwards, and had multiple, they have Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks and receivers and stuff. Like, they didn't have that type of quarterback before that evolution. I'm going to read some comments. Shannon says Downing has replaced Logan Woodside as the cockroach.
I love that comment. He just won't die, Willie Shannon.
Jason says, I think Amy has given Vrabel too much power. She's nervous he might leave if he doesn't get his way. Mikey says, ownership told us it's the players. That's why J-Rob was fired. Downing is blaming lack of talent. That's how he's keeping his job. And Randy says that Tannehill is on his last leg. So, look,
with 2 sprained ankles, he's literally on his last leg.
I think we all know, and I said this, we know how the fan base feels. I mean, these 2 Titans fans, who I don't know who they are, but they're kudos. You get a little FaceTime here on A to Z Sports. That, I think, is the state of affairs. So, Jack, we know what Mike Vrabel is not going to do. Let's talk about what Mike Vrabel can do, okay? So this is the question I want to hear from the chat, and Jack, we're going to get into it. What can Mike Vrabel change to save the Titans season if he won't make coaching changes? All right, problem, we need to find the solution. Well, one solution, as you guys going on the chat, one solution is to ride in a brand new Hyundai. That Hyundai can be sleek. It can be luxurious. It can be the Palisade. Full-size SUV, 3rd row seating, all the bells and whistles. Quick trip down I-40, exit 236. That's WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Payne Bone and his team will help you. He helped a to Z Sports listener earlier this week or this weekend. He had trouble with his Hyundai. I texted Payne. Payne was like, send him to my guy, Randy. Basically, we exchanged, sent him to Randy. Wilson County Hyundai. That's the trusted source. They've got the Sonata, the Elantra, the Santa Fe, and the Ioniq. Your fleet of vehicles, your perfect make and model at WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Trust is so important when buying a car. It's also important when deciding which sports book you want to bet through. That's where BetMGM comes in. Download BetMGM. Use promo code A to Z Sports. That's ATOZ Sports for a risk-free bet up to $1,000 on pro football. I mentioned the Titans are 3-point dogs this Sunday. You got the Colts 4-point underdogs going on the road to a hungry Vikings team coming off a loss. I don't know. Maybe it's a good time to fade Jeff Saturday. Well, you get to decide what you want to do. It's a risk-free bet up to $1,000, but you have to be a new user. So get off that old sports book you have. You've had bad luck. It's time for a change right before the playoffs roll around, right before bowl season rolls around. So download BetMGM, use promo code A to Z Sports for a risk-free bet up to $1,000.
All right, go to the comments section. What can Mike Vrabel change to save the Titans season if he won't make coaching changes? We heard that earlier in the show on Titans Radio and 104.5 The Zone on the Mike Vrabel Show. Steven says nothing. Titans Up says nothing. Shannon says give the play calling to Tim Kelly. That's not a – I mean, I guess would you consider that a coaching change?
Certainly. I mean, it's a change on the coaching staff.
So it doesn't count. Can't do it. Not accepted, Shannon. Vrabel's not going to do it. Daly at left tackle. Get rid of Dennis Daly. Try something else at left tackle.
Anything else?
Left tackle. Move Dennis Daly. Left tackle. Let's see. Take over play call. Again, no coaching changes. Doesn't count. Let's see. Find a way to get Daly off the field. Nothing.
I saw one say start Malik Willis, and if Daly stays at left tackle, they may not have a choice.
Right.
And he won't make it through the season.
Taking over play calling. Doesn't count. Let's see.
It's some funny.
Dennis Daly. Pray. Just go to the good Lord above. Let's see. Hire Frank Wright as a consultant. No coaching changes. Sorry, Devin. Doesn't work. Unfixable. Nothing. Oh, man. This is good. I think we've stumped the chat. Daly. Going back to Daly. Vrabel could replace Daly. New strength and conditioning coach. Devin, no coaching changes. Doesn't work. No changes. Can't change. We're not changing.
Medical staff. Does the medical staff count as a coaching change?
Replace Dennis Daly. Daly. I mean, left tackle.
It's the most glaring weakness the Titans have on offense right now. So I'm not surprised to see the chat piling on Dennis Daly.
Just play it out. And I think that's what the Titans are going to do.
Yeah.
And I think that is the answer. I mean, we have the chat's answer. It's left tackle Dennis Daly. That's the only thing that you can change if you're not going to change the coaching staff. You don't have the players to change your offensive philosophy. You can't go 5 wide like they did with Ryan Fitzpatrick when he started taking over quarterback. Let's go way back into the memory bank. You remember that? That was the Kendall Wright 1,000-yard season.
Yeah.
That's how he got there. Is just because he was just 5 wide, And I remember, the Titans coaching staff asked Ryan Fitzpatrick, what makes you feel most comfortable? You're playing with house money. The Titans blow. What can we win us the most games? You got 5 wide. Let's throw it out there. Drag routes. That's so. I think it's playing it out and seeing. And Jack, they have proven they've won 7 games, so they can win games. Now they can't win games against good football teams, which is a problem because that's who you face in the playoffs. I think they play out, and this season they lean even more into their identity. And Jack, we know what their ceiling is. Their all-time ceiling is a divisional round appearance. It's winning 1 game at home against maybe a Baltimore Ravens team that, is second place, that is really a 5th seed because the Titans are going to be the 4th seed, and Lamar Jackson is still ailing. Like playing a backup quarterback. I think that's your only hope to reach your all-time ceiling, which is a divisional round appearance in Buffalo to get the brakes beat off of you. But I think you just lean into Derrick Henry running the football, play action fake. And I think there's a little bit of prayer in there, and there's health involved. Danico Autry and Traylon Burks and Christian Fulton coming back, I think does help this team.
Certainly.
And before we'll get to your answer, Jack, fill up with some lunch money. Look, now this is Jack's lunch money. We've got Sam's lunch money. We'll put this in the jackpot. The jackpot. Yeah.
Nice. All right.
Works out well. Pun intended, I guess. If we build this up, the more shows you do, you build up this lunch money, we take you to lunch. Now, So Vrabel can keep the run-first offense but change the formations. The formations that the Titans use are predictable. they do know coach versus professional coach. So, Philip, I actually give you credit right there for your $5 lunch money, your jackpot money. That's a new answer that we've seen. Change up the formations. If you're not going to change the coaching staff and you're not going to change the personnel, change the playing style. So, Philip, I like that. Jack, what would you change if you're Mike Vrabel, if you're not going to change the coaching staff?
Well, Dennis Daly is the obvious answer, and I figured that the chat would come in pretty strong like they did on that. So I kind of went a different route, and Jacob Westerman hit it on the head. More Chig. It's all about the Chigonometry, baby. If you follow me on Twitter, you know how much I love Chig. But listen, Chig is starting to be more featured in this offense. Perhaps it's because Treylon Burks is out and they don't have any other, real weapon playmaker to get the ball to. Chig's got 21 passes on the season, and 13 of those have come in his last 3 games. Chigakonkwo, good things happen when the ball finds Chig. 15.2 yards per reception. That's tied with Terry McLaurin, Devontae Adams, and Justin Jefferson. Big play guys who are dangerous after the catch, like Chig is. When the Titans' offense was humming, not only was Derrick Henry, getting it going on the ground, 100, millions of 100-yard games, but they were featuring the tight ends. And you brought in Austin Hooper, who's been pretty much a zero for the entire season. You draft Chigakonkwo, and now that he's kind of found his feet in this offense, you see what he's capable of doing. Scored a touchdown again. And, I mean, the guy's athletic as they come. He's faster than any linebacker that's going to match up on him. He's a true weapon. And Todd Downing, I'll give him a little credit because he has been getting him involved. But this needs to be regular. I'm not talking 3 catches a game. I'm talking get that man the ball at least 5 times a game. Let's see what he can do after the catch. He's a game changer. He's dynamic. He's everything the Titans are missing at wide receiver. However, he does play tight end, which kind of hurts the Titans on the outside. You still got to find that wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 guy that they've been missing. Robert Woods, obviously not that guy, even though he had a good first half last week. Treylon Burks, you see flashes. Can't stay on the field just yet. I think he's got a high ceiling. But Chigakonkwo is right here, right now. He's the guy you got to lean on for this playoff push, for this division push that's kind of tightened as of late. So more Chigonometry in the Titans offense, and I think that they'll be okay getting into the playoffs, that is.
Getting Chiggy with it. I think, Jack, look, we bring things to the table. I like this. That was it wasn't daily. It wasn't, nothing. Chig, I like that answer. That's good content right there. And
he's come on. He's come on as of late. I mean, you saw why he was getting so much hype in training camp. Now he's finally putting it together on the field. Titans fans are seeing that. So naturally they want more. When nobody else is making plays down the field, why not Chig?
I had a conversation, and I'll disclose this at a later date, but what my opinions are on how the Titans need to evolve over the next 3 to 4 years. I've got a long-term plan for the Titans. I don't know if they're going to do it. It's probably going to disrupt some Titans fans saying, whoa, that is a little erratic. But the Titans have nothing to lose, Jack, in the sense that they have got to put a contender on the field when they build that new stadium, because Derrick Henry won't be here to play in it.
Yeah, well, I think just based on the lifespan of running backs, it's going to be tough, especially for a guy who shoulders a workload like Derrick Henry does.
Derrick Henry's not going to be around for that stadium, guys. He's not. He's not going to play. Now, he may have his number hanging from it.
He will eventually.
But so you're going to have to change, and that includes Mike Vrabel. All right, that was great. I thought it was very well done. We came up with some good content right there, Jack. I thought it was a good, tough question. You got to come up with some answers. We came up with some answers. Let's see if we can come up with some trivia answers. 16 out of 20. We do 5 questions now, 4 and 1. That one has to do with art. So study up on your art. No Googling. But first, I'm going to tell you guys about Farm Bureau Health Plans. Plan on Farm Bureau Health Plans for health, dental, and vision. I planned on them, and man, they have changed my plan in the best of ways. I save 20% every single month since I switched to Farm Bureau Health Plans. I get free Teladoc conferences, Jack, are you on Farm Bureau Health Plans?
I am.
Hey, my man.
I went down to Franklin and met with Vicky, and she got me hooked up. It was quick, it was painless, and it was easy. And it saves you money, which is the most important part.
Chat. Say what you mean and mean what you say. Damn it. You got two Ole Miss guys, straight honest, who talk well about Mississippi State this morning because of obviously the unfortunate passing of Mike Leach. And you got two honest guys that both have the same health coverage. And it's damn good coverage. This is it. It's Farm Bureau Health Plans. FBHP.com/ATOZ. Switch today.
All right, this is the last reminder of the show, so make sure you guys get this done after it all ends, maybe on your lunch break at work. Download BetMGM. Use our promo code ATOZ Sports. We're here to make you guys money in the gambling realm. You'll get a risk-free bet up to $1,000 on pro football. Bet it however you'd like. Right now, the NFL's pretty crazy. I mean, it's unpredictable. You see the Texans almost beating the Cowboys last week. The Titans getting steamrolled by the Jags. The Lions beating Minnesota on that stinky, stinky line. So download BetMGM. Use code ATOZ Sports for a risk-free bet on pro football. Let's start making money, people.
All right, let's get to it. Real quick, some jackpot lunch money. Ryan says, I can't help but imagine that Downing's off-the-field issues are distracting him to a point that he's not coaching at his very best. Ryan brings something up that I don't think we've talked about. So bravo, Ryan, putting some jackpot lunch money. We're going to split it up, Jack. Every time they donate to our YouTube fund, we'll split it. You and Sam. You got Sam lunch money. You got jackpot money. That's a jackpot comment right there. I don't think we truly maybe know the mental impact that's had. Look, when things go awry, some people rise to the occasion under pressure and under unfortunate circumstances, and some people crumble. Some people don't do well with the pressure. Ryan brings up Downing's off-field issues, maybe distracting him. What do you think about that?
Well, you have that comment. You also have the other side of the coin. Downing was terrible before the DUI, but but it's gotten much worse, right? The Green Bay game was his masterpiece. All he had to do was get home safely, and that didn't happen. Who knows where the Titans could have gone from there? It's impossible not to think that the DUI and the off the field issues and the pressure and what he told those police officers that night about what's going on at home. It isn't affecting him. It's human nature. That's got to be affecting him in some way. Now, is it an excuse for poor play calling and just really being terrible at your job of late, losing 3 straight games and the offense being the primary reason for it? No. It's also not Downing's fault that the Titans can't keep the football. They keep turning the ball over. But it all goes hand in hand. It's a correlated game in the NFL. When the offense doesn't look coordinated, that falls on the offensive coordinator. So it just hasn't gone well lately, but you can't help but think that the off-the-field issues are probably, at least somewhere in his mind as he goes to his job.
All right, let's get to sports trivia. I thought that was a good little comment that I wanted to get out of the way before we get to sports trivia. Question number 1. How many people have captained their country to success in the World Cup more than once?
I'm enjoying the World Cup. I don't watch it religiously.
I watched France, England from start to finish, and I also watched the end of Portugal, Morocco, which I was highly entertained. And I don't love soccer in the sense of maybe that other soccer fans do, but how many people have captained their country to success in the World Cup more than once? So I think this is Pele.
I was going to say.
I mean, there's one because that was Brazil, because back-to-back champions. Now, they don't necessarily have to be back-to-back, but the guy for France is trying to do that this year. Mbappe, I don't know his last name.
Yeah.
and he's been stellar.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what
I think you got to think about how many countries, and this goes far, far back. So you got to consider which countries you can kind of skip out on the player. You just got to think of the countries that have won it, kind of consecutively in the past, or at least 1 out of 3, because that, for all intents and purposes, probably the same captain has led those runs.
So it's a minimum of, I think, one. Is there another? I mean, it's not 5 by any means, but it's got to be like 1 or 2.
Multiple titles. I think it may be higher than 2. But we're going to need help from the chat.
Chat, how many people have captained their country to success in the World Cup more than once?
What is success? Is success winning the World Cup? That does leave it kind of okay. Well, Messi hasn't won the World Cup. Ronaldo hasn't won the World Cup. Paulie D says he's going with 3. You say 1 or 2.
I agree with Jody. The chat is stoned. This is the least amount of answers I've ever seen in the chat.
It's soccer. We live in Nashville. I know Nashville SC rocks. The new stadiums kick ass, but the World Cup is a little bit different just because of how dated it is and how late to the party I think America in general was to soccer. Let's go ahead and get this guess out because I think the chat is pretty confused here. We're seeing a lot of 3s. Rock stars, Noah, Crazy Pellet.
Do you want to go with that?
I think that 3 works. Let's try 3.
You want to lock it in? You say final A to Z to lock
final
this
A to
bad
Z.
boy.
Let's lock this sucker in.
The correct answer. Oh, wow. 0.
Oh, trick questions.
No one has ever done this. Diego Maradona, who won once, came runner-up once.
Man, the World Cup is a tough title to win. 0 is surprising, though.
Dang, 0 for 1.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we go to ping pong.
Great.
What year did table tennis become an Olympic sport? 1924, 1948, 2000, or 1988? What year did table tennis become an Olympic sport? 1924, 1948, 2000, or 1988?
Is it that old? 1948? Lou Man thinks 1948. Orlando, I'm seeing 1948. Mr. Jones says 88. So does Crazy Pellet.
See, my gut was it's not that far back, like the 1950s. I actually think it's 88 because it's not 2000. I think that's a little too early. I think it's between 88 and 48. I just think 48. I don't know if they would put
the world hadn't.
Yeah.
The world hadn't caught on to table tennis at that point. 88 seems like the right answer here. I'll go through the chat really quickly here. Chuck says 48. Danny says 48. Noah agrees with us. 48's too early. 1948 because Forrest Gump played in it. So
yeah, but that was during Vietnam, and that was not 1948. I think this is 88. I think that I'm confident that it's 88.
Yeah,
I don't know.
We're seeing a lot of 88s. Rockstars thinks 2000. These are some tough questions. Whoever said that I get the tough questions every time is right. I think that 88 makes the most sense here.
You want to lock it in?
Let's go final A to Z, 1988.
Table tennis was admitted as a full medal sport in the Olympics in 1988.
Let's go. Good job, chat. Good job, Zach.
All right, 1-1.
Let's
go.
We
like it. Who was known as the human highlight film? Michael Jordan, Dominique Wilkins, Julius Erving, or Allen Iverson? Who was known as the human highlight film? Michael Jordan, Dominique Wilkins, Julius Erving, or Allen Iverson?
Isn't that Neek? Big Dominique Wilkins?
Yeah, it's got to be Dominique, right? It's not Allen Iverson. It's not Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Dr. J. It's got to be Dominique.
Right? It's Big Neek. Yep, you're exactly right. Chat's all over it, too. Jordan from Jody's the only one that I think I see that's not Dominique Wilson. Let's go final A to Z, Dominique Wilkins. I think we got this one.
Dominique Wilkins was one of the greatest dunkers of all time, also known as the human highlight film.
That was pretty easy. I like that. See, now that we're getting back to one of the main food groups in sports, the NBA, instead of table tennis and World Cup history.
Well, we're going back to table tennis.
Oh, of course we are. Why not?
Let's see here. That's too hard. I mean, this is a very hard question. On the serve, how high must the ball be thrown from the flat of the hand? On the serve, how high must the ball be thrown from the flat of the hand? 2 inches, 10 inches, 6 inches, or it doesn't matter? 2 inches, 10 inches, 6 inches, or it doesn't matter. That's what she said. On the serve, how high must the ball be thrown from the flat of the hand? 2 inches, 10 inches, 6 inches, or it doesn't matter?
I feel like it has to matter, but I don't want to get tricked on a trick question for the second time, so I'm kind of scared of that answer. You got to throw it up. 2 inches, maybe just a bare minimum.
2 inches. You see these guys like this, that not 10. Let's eliminate 10. It's not 10 inches.
6 seems like hard to judge. Like how
but then there's a ceiling. 5, 6, no, so 7. It's no higher.
Oh,
so
okay.
I actually don't think it's 2. I think 6 or it doesn't matter. It makes the most sense.
So it's okay. I misunderstood the question. How high can you throw it?
Right.
What's the limit?
I think 6 inches because they don't want you throwing it up and then tricking them. I actually think it's 6 inches or it doesn't matter. It's one of the two.
This is tricky. How would you enforce that rule?
Well, it's a fault, right? I mean, that's why you have.
Sure, but like, how can you tell the difference between 9 inches and 10 inches?
I think there's leeway. So,
I see. I
will say this: it's not. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Jack. Because you've never seen anybody in the history of ping pong throw it up a mile and then try to trick somebody to hit it, right? Somebody would have tried to do that I think it's 6 inches.
All right. 6 inches.
I've talked myself into 6 inches.
I know. You're pretty set on this. Lou Man says go 6.
It's logical. Look, here's my justification, guys. Okay. It's not 2 inches. That's too hard to enforce. That's too low. It's not 10 inches. That's way too high. And it doesn't matter because you have never seen in professional table tennis a guy throw the ball up so high to try to trick a guy. That would be illegal. So we haven't seen that.
10 inches isn't all that high, though. Oh, okay. I know that you're on.
You've never seen 10 inches.
Yeah, I guess. I don't really watch table tennis. But I think you're stuck on 6, and you're pretty convinced. I know that you'd be upset if we guessed something else and it was 6. So let's go final A to Z, 6 inches.
All right. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Suck it. Suck it. The ball must be placed on the flat of the hand to avoid any spin that the fingers may put on it, therefore giving the server an unfair advantage, and the ball must be thrown at least or by a minimum of 6 inches. 6 inches. Bang!
Good job.
That's logic, my friend.
Good job. That's big time. That's huge because to go 2 for 3 with the questions we've been asked is a gift.
You like that?
Yes, let's go. 2 for 3. Let's go. Let's keep building.
So we've got 2 more questions, correct?
Right.
All right. Let's see here.
The chat is on fire with that question.
Who was in second place with dunks in the 2001-2002 NBA season? Alonzo Mourning, Paul Gasol, Shaquille O'Neal, or Kenyon Martin? Who was in second place with dunks in the 2001-2002 NBA season? Alonzo Mourning, Paul Gasol, Shaq, or Kenyon Martin? I think it's either got to be Shaq or Kenyon Martin.
Kenyon Martin's the one that doesn't fit here, really. I mean, the other guys are big guys.
I disagree.
Shaq,
oh, yeah. So that's why I think Kenyon Martin makes sense.
Yeah. No, I agree. You kind of find the one that stinks, and that one's usually the one that's right. Shaq probably led the NBA. So, I mean, who else would have led it if not for Shaq? I think Kenyon Martin's the right answer. He sticks out. The other options are Paul Gasol and who? Alonzo Mourning. That's right. Okay. Yeah, I don't know that Alonzo Mourning was out there enough to finish second in the NBA in dunks.
I think Kenyon Martin, again, we're going
Kenyon
with
Martin was a
logic
star.
on this.
Kenyon Martin was a star. His son actually committed to Vanderbilt before, I think, declaring for the draft / going to the G League. So I think Kenyon Martin makes sense here. It's the one that
There's
sticks
your
out.
Vandy comment knowledge.
Hey, I got it all up here, baby. Let's do Kenyon Martin. The chat's all over it too. Sean agrees. Jay Bryant. Kmart says Danny.
Oh no.
Eric Martin, Devin Mills Martin, Myro Martin, Stacy Martin.
You locking it in?
A to Z. Final A to Z, Kenyon Martin.
It's not. It's wrong.
Oh my gosh.
Memphis Grizzlies.
Pal.
Rookie season.
Really? That is surprising to
That's
me.
a backdoor trick.
Yeah.
Paul Gasol for where they had the black jerseys with Memphis and teal right there.
Those are awesome.
Paul Gasol's rookie year.
That is surprising because look, Jeff says Gasol could barely jump. Well, in his rookie season, he got up okay. But that is surprising to me.
God.
Kenyon Martin did not belong in that question, though. That was not a viable option.
2 and 2. We have to get this right. We have to get this final question right. This is a non-sports question. It has to do with art. We will get to that question. But first, I want to tell the fine folks about Bone and Joint Institute. Don't fumble in your recovery. Go to the Bone and Joint Institute, state-of-the-art facility down there in Franklin. I've had my labrum repaired by Dr. Thomas, specialists right down there at the Bone and Joint Institute. They've got the state-of-the-art facility in Franklin. They've got satellite locations all across Middle Tennessee, and man, they are trusted. So if you've injured yourself, it happens, right? I mean, whether you're playing pickup basketball or you turn an ankle going down the stairs, you never know. You need to seek some medical advice and attention. Bone and Joint Institute is where you need to go. That's right there, down there in Franklin, and satellite locations all across Middle Tennessee.
BetMGM, they're also all across Middle Tennessee. Download BetMGM. New users plug in the promo code that you see on your screen right now, A to Z Sports, ATOZ Sports, for a risk-free bet up to $1,000. You lose it, no sweat. You win it, that's extra money in your account that you can bet with. And now's the time to get in the game. The NFL playoffs are right around the corner. College football bowl season is coming up along with the playoffs. You've got college basketball, the NBA, the NHL, all in full swing. Get in now if you're not already in. And if you are already in on a different sports book, it's time to make the switch. Download BetMGM and use promo code A to Z Sports for that risk-free bet up to $1,000 on pro football.
Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 years or older only in Tennessee. New customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualifications to eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable free bet. Insight credit. Free bets expire 7 days from insurance. For problem gambling support, call the Tennessee Red Line at 800-889-9789. All right, Jack, final question to close this out. What is the term for reproducing a texture by laying paper over it and rubbing it with a pencil or crayon? What is the term for reproducing a texture by laying paper over it and rubbing it with a pencil or crayon? Is it intaglio, frottage, gouache, or impasto?
Oh, man. I was really hoping for an answer that I knew.
What is the term for reproducing a texture by laying paper over it and rubbing it with a pencil or crayon? Intaglio, frottage. This is obviously got to be French. I mean, gouache or impasto? We got any like French majors or
art
is anybody from Europe?
I took a seventh grade class, a seventh grade art class, and I thought for sure I had it banked up here, but we certainly didn't learn those terms. Frottage, impasto. Impasto makes me think it could work because I don't know. You're kind of making for me to explain that would confuse a lot of people, so I'm going to stop myself there. Is
this Chanson saying, "Oh God, this is impasto," like this is impossible, or is he saying, "Oh God, I know this, it's impasto"?
Okay, here we go. We were getting some answers from the chat, and a couple people are pretty all over this. Brian says frottage. Chuck says frottage. Justin says Gaucher. Got to be Frotage, says Orlando. The one that started with a G, so that would be Gaucher. But Devin Mills in all caps. All caps is really convincing to me. If you want to get my attention, if you want to convince me,
don't.
Caps
no, I will not read it. I am anti all caps. Don't do it. Take your caps off. And Big Ten Jeff says, I remember this correctly from school.
Mm-hmm.
Devin also said that from his art teacher. Do we want to go with Frotage? You want to lock that in?
I want to. Let's go final A to Z. Frotage. It's on you, chat. Jeff Vrabel.
A method of reproducing a texture or relief design by laying paper over it and rubbing it with some sort of drawing utensil. This technique was developed by Max Ernst in 1925, inspired by an ancient wooden floor. The patterns and graining, which suggest strange images to him, he captured these by laying sheets of paper on the floor and then rubbing over them with a soft pencil known as Frotage.
All right. Good work, Chad. Those art classes, they really paid off. And Sean Gill came in a little too late, but this would have sealed the deal. Took several advanced art classes. Frotage. Good work, Chad. I had no idea. I had no idea of that one. I hadn't heard of any of those 4 words in my entire life. So absolutely needed y'all's help, and y'all bailed us out in a time of need. 3 for 5 today, but considering the difficulty, I feel like that's a slight success.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have some 5 for 5ers if we're going to. So now we are officially, let's see here. We are 19 of 25. Okay, so that is our percentage, giving us a 76% hit rate. We're 4 behind our pace. Good job in the chat. Good job, Jack. We appreciate you filling in this morning on A to Z Sports. I thought it was a great show. We appreciate everybody in the chat that were involved, that had comments, that helped us in trivia. And we will see you bright and early tomorrow morning. Don't forget, you got prime time tonight. We've got great coverage on our YouTube and our Twitter. So hit us up there. Hit us up on YouTube. Subscribe there as we are over 10K strong and continuing to climb. But we'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Adios.
Tighten Up Podcast, midnight.